So here's a kind of a koan for you. Here's the scene. Your teacher calls out, will someone do a BBC talk on being a people pleaser? Although she didn't say it, you hear your name. That's people pleaser trait number 1. There are other people pleasers in the group. You look at each other, but I am the senior people pleaser. It must be my job. That assumption is people pleaser trait number 2. She asks, who are the people pleasers? At least one other person raises her hand, and you think, do I get points for transparency? That's people pleaser trait number 3. There are others actually, but maybe they don't know that about themselves, or maybe they do. But anyway, I am the senior people pleaser, so it is my job. Then she says, it would please me if someone would do this BBC on people pleasing. She is half joking, half not. And honestly, I don't want to do it. There's not enough time to prepare. It's a topic I don't necessarily feel like I have a handle on, blah, blah, blah. So here's the koan for people pleasers under the guidance of a spiritual mentor. When do you do something you don't really want to do out of a need to make other people happy? And oh, by the way, thus winning their praise and approval, which is people pleasing trait number 4. When do you do something your teacher asks because you know it's part of your training to do so? And when do you simply say no? Or, with deep respect, I decline the opportunity for the following reasons. So, how many of the open or closeted people pleasers in this room have ever found themselves caught in this very dilemma? Yes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, thank you for raising your hands. You get points for transparency. Or worse, this is even worse. You say yes out of a craving for approval, but then don't do it because you didn't want to do it in the first place. But that is an advanced topic. We're going to start with the basics. Okay. So what exactly is a people pleaser? A people pleaser is someone who tries hard to make others happy. That's our job. It's a bodhisattva's training. May all sentient beings have happiness in its causes. I will cause them to have them, I by myself alone. It is therefore my bodhisattva duty to make people happy. All right, well, the definition continues. Well, here's the definition goes on. People pleasers will often go out of their way to please someone, even if it means taking their own valuable time or resources away from them. That's generosity, right? The definition continues. People pleasers often deal with low self-esteem. Whoa. And draw their self-worth from the approval of others. Nobody's supposed to see that part. The psychologist notes, I am only worthy of love if I give everything to someone else. This is a common belief associated with people pleasing. I am only worthy of love if everyone likes me. I am only worthy of love if everyone praises me. Everyone has to like me. In other words, I give to you, I make you happy, I entertain you, I excel in whatever you want me to, but not so much that you might get jealous. I do what you want me to do to make you happy. If you're happy, then I'm happy. What is wrong with that? Well, psychology has a lot to say about this. It seems that people-pleasing afflicts a whole lot of people. If you go online, you'll find 10 ways to tell you're a people pleaser, 22 ways to stop being a people pleaser, what's wrong with being a people pleaser. And I would say psychologically, they're all very valid presentations. The main problem psychology sees is that people pleasers deny their own needs out of a need to be loved for others. And the source of this affliction boils down to inconsistent or inadequate parenting. It's totally the cause of samsara. That's Venerable Chödrön's comment. So I am generalizing here. And I will say, I personally have benefited a lot from working on the psychological approach. But as Buddhist practitioners, we need to actually look at this from a Dharma perspective. So from my own experience, the Dharma also gets at it much more deeply. So, okay, what's wrong with being a people pleaser? Let's look at our actions to make others happy and see, are they virtuous? Or are they non-virtuous? Number one problem, what's our motivation for making other people happy? I want to give you a warning now, this is very hard to face. Really hard to face. Let's say I've created a whole persona on being nice, kind, helpful to others, even at the expense of my own health and my own relationships. If I do this with an open heart, with absolutely positively no explanation of anything or expectation of anything in return, okay, carry on bodhisattva, you go. But before you think that's your motive, look deeply. Do I care for others hoping they'll like me, hoping they'll love me, to prove my worth, to validate my existence, to strengthen my reputation as being kind of holy? That's transactional. I'm nice to you if you like, admire, love, praise me. And furthermore, it's totally self-centered, the opposite of the altruistic intention. How can you tell? Here's a hint. If you feel resentment when they don't appreciate you, that's a really good hint. The motivation is off. So let's look at something else. Okay, that's our motivation. Now let's look, is there an affliction present? When I'm engaging in people-pleasing behaviors, saying yes when I really think no, so you'll like me, what's there? Arrogance. It's the first one I found. Hello? Really? People-pleasing is arrogant? Yes. People, sometimes the mildest, meekest people are the people-pleasers. That is not, I will say that's not my manifestation, but that's happens a lot. So what's arrogant about that? Well, that's pretty close. We believe we are so powerful that we can make people happy. I, by myself alone, by doing what they want, me, the hero, the martyr, the savior, I make them happy. Like, where's my cape? Anybody grow up with this? Here I come to save the day. It means that Mighty Mouse is on the way. He was my hero when I was a child. He was. Arrogant. And of course, when they're not happy, I'm the one who destroyed the situation. I destroyed the project. I destroyed I made my teachers so unhappy. Okay. Again, if you're already an omniscient Buddha, or even if you're just a bodhisattva, then you can be Mighty Mouse. Otherwise, let's have some humility and honestly assess what are our real talents, our genuine contributions, and also what are our faults. We need to develop a realistic and balanced view. So here's another of the biggest and baddest afflictions present when we're people-pleasing. Craving. Craving's the big one. Craving for what? I need you to like me. I need you to love me. I need you to praise me. Craving for love, appreciation, craving to be seen, craving to validate our existence, craving to feel that enormous, insatiable hole inside ourselves that Venerable Jigme mentioned yesterday, Venerable Chödrön mentioned this morning. I think there must be a pandemic. Everyone has this big hole. And for people pleasers, We fill it by trying to make others happy so that they'll like us. To quote Katie Lang, the great philosopher, constant craving has always been. This is the real root of that problem. Constant craving has always been. Yes, our childhood conditioning may have reinforced these things, for sure. Personally, I think I brought this one in myself. It's true, I looked at my teenage parents and said to myself in baby language, these people need help. But I'm the baby that says, and I'm the one who's going to help them. They did not do that to me. I came in with this one, I am certain. And I think and I really have been examining this, like, what is this craving for love? It's like this manifestation of dukkha itself. You know, we look at the 6 sufferings of cyclic existence. In the second one, we have a mind that is never satisfied, constantly seeking something new, better, different. Constantly, I think it's seeking something to relieve the pain of samsara. Constant craving has always been. And so for people pleasers, that constant craving is for love, manifesting under the deception of wanting you to be happy. Yes, they want you to be happy, so you'll love me. So there's many more afflictions involved. Pretension, deceit, somebody brought up. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots. So, what's also difficult about this is if you look in the outside worldly world, we get a lot of feedback, a lot of strokes for being people pleasers. To a certain extent. Now, if you show how needy you are, nobody actually really wants to deal with you at all. But if you're kind of slick about it, you're kind of clever, and you help, and you do the things, and you kind of excel and do what people want you to do, you get lots and lots of feedback. So then you move to the monastery. Oh dear. Forget it. Starvation, yeah, starvation. Okay, and I feel so exposed, right? I've made this sound dire, and it is. I think on learning to recognize that our craving for love and praise is been the motivator for our whole life, that is hard to admit. And in my own practice, I have looked to see that it has been debilitating and even crippling, I would say, in my whole life, this craving. And that makes it motivation enough to work to change it. So obviously, this is very deep. It will not vanish in this life. But it requires a tremendous amount of self-acceptance. Self-acceptance. That our self-esteem is kind of non-existent, and we need to find a way to make some that's based on a valid basis. Shame about it is useless, which is one place we go. Guilt is useless. So we learn to accept ourselves and to laugh at ourselves if we can. We have to learn to love ourselves, actually. We have to learn to be who we are. Oh God. We have to learn to accept who we are. We have to learn to love who we are without external validation. Just saying that makes you kind of quiver if you've got this problem. Okay, it takes some work. And I don't want this to go on too long because I don't want you to be mad at me, which is another people pleaser trait. So here are some quick tips. Spend some time analyzing your behavior. Do you say yes or help others out of a need to be recognized, loved, and etc.? I mean, analyze and look. Really examine the motivations we have for this. And then we have to ask, where has this gotten you in life? What's been the benefit? How much did the benefit last? How long did you get that pleasure? How long did it linger? How long did it carry you? And then what has been the cost? That's the hard part. What has been the cost of being driven by this craving? What have you given up? What have you missed out on? What have you not done? That's the worldly part. And then deeper, what non-virtue have you created out of a need to be liked? I am purifying this every day. Still, always will, I think. And what virtuous actions have you passed by because someone you cared about disapproved? Like moving to the monastery, for example. Or even doing Dharma practice, for example. Because I was afraid people didn't like you. So think about these things. Another thing to think about, Venerable Trudren really mirrored this in her teaching this morning. How do praise, approval, and reputation and so forth benefit me? They don't make me healthier. They don't increase my lifespan. They don't really deal with my self-hatred and guilt. They don't purify my negative karma. They don't take me closer to liberation or enlightenment. So, what do we get for this? Really important. And then we start to have to change our behavior. So write this down. If you're a people pleaser, please write this down. Write down this name. First, write down the statement. We are not responsible for other people's feelings. Repeat. We are not responsible for other people's feelings. She's saying that. Marshall Rosenberg actually taught me this. Marshall Rosenberg, Nonviolent Communication, I really recommend that you study it. Spend a lot of time on your cushion. We are not responsible for other people's feelings, and they are not responsible for liking us. We are responsible for liking us. If I did a negative action or a neglectful action that harmed others, I do need to own it, and I can apologize and purify it myself, but the other person's response is theirs, no matter who they are. The other person's response is theirs, and we have to actually have the respect to let others have their own feelings without us trying to fix them or make them feel better or like us. The other thing I think is very, very useful to look at is, what does it mean to be liked? What does that mean to be liked? To be liked, to be liked. Something in the mind of someone else. When they think of me, see me, a pleasant feeling arises in their mind and stays there. That's nuts. When I think about the amount of time in my life I have tried to manage how the outside world perceives me and what they think of me, and I'm so much energy to do something that is insane. A single thought, all it is a thought. A pleasant feeling arising in their mind, over which I have absolutely zero control. I cannot control my own mind. I would say 99.99999%. The other person can't control their mind. So what the heck are we doing this for? Think about it. And if lacking self-confidence is the problem, then study what is a genuine, stable self-confidence. How do we base that? Can I base my worth on whether people like me or not? On that thought in their mind? No. No, we can't. So what is the foundation? Remembering our Buddha nature and your human potential is a valid source of self-confidence. That's a quote. Now, what the heck does that mean? And that we really have to think about. It's really the only valid basis for self-confidence, I think. And to understand that requires Dharma study. We have to reflect, we have to meditate, we have to have a conviction in the Four Truths so that we recognize that the praise we seek is unsatisfactory by nature, The causes are the seeds of afflictions in our minds and the actions that we do because of them, and that it is possible to be free. Not generically, it is possible for me to be free of these causes, and there is a method I can follow to do this. And we have to get that, understand it, believe it, have conviction in order for that to really grow as the foundation of our self-confidence. And that is unshakable. Furthermore, the Buddhas do love us. Now, how do I know that? Because the Buddha taught this method. Out of his great compassion, the Buddha went all the way to full awakening. He didn't hang back and say, okay, I'm going to be in bliss for a while. No. He said, not out of being a people pleaser, it's my job. He realized the ultimate nature. He developed the wisdom, realizing that ultimate nature, and used that to purify his mind of all of these things. And then he turned around and he taught it. And everybody else that has ever followed in that path has turned around and taught it. Why? They're driven by compassion from the get-go. That means they love me. No matter what I do. Okay, it's not like as personal as somebody sitting in the room with me, but you know it is. It's more personal and it's more meaningful. So that's what we have to get our mind to really use the Dharma. Psychology helps. I'm not dissing in any way, but the deeper, lasting change comes from understanding it from the Dharma perspective. This will take lifetimes, at least for this one. I came in with it. It's going to take a while to get rid of it. But the practice of working on this is really important. And I have a hypothesis that when we transform the afflicted aspect of being people pleasers, we already have the habit to help. So we're actually ahead. We just have to change our motivation and deal with the afflictions. Do it for a different reason. The habit's already there. So that's not bad, but it takes a lot of work. So in the koan, when your teacher says, who will do a BBC on people pleasing, do you do it? I'll leave that to you.
It says at least 10 times, have to. Who's saying have to?
I said have to with regard to what?
Different things, have to practice this, have to do this.
So the have to is the Dharma practitioner who's wanting to overcome. Yeah. Do you want to expand on your point so that I get it?
When I speak to myself in that language, have to, it sounds very harsh and like, forcing myself to something. I think it has to. I want to have it coming from myself, from a need, from a deep wish of being myself, being, truthful to myself. Not have to sounds to me like somebody else actually says something to me that I have to develop.
It feels like a should to you.
Like a should, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit aggressive to some extent. Yeah, it's harsh. Yeah, I'm missing a bit of kindness towards myself. Yeah.
I think we have different personalities. But I'll think about it. Any others? Okay. Thank you.